Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin.
51 years after signing the Voting Rights Act, we're still here today trying to protect voting rights for minorities.
We're talking about a bill that is meant to cause longer lines, confusion, discourage voters, and even prevent thousands of voters from having their vote cast.
So you'll have to excuse me, Mr. Speaker, for this case of political whiplash that I'm suffering from. When you have a president-elect who says that large-scale voter fraud is happening on and before Election Day, that's a quote from him. You have a Secretary of State who administers our elections, and she says she doesn't believe that cases of people fraudulently voting is widespread. That's a quote from her. And then you have a package of bills here that's presented to set policy that protects the integrity of our elections. That's a quote from the bill sponsor.
In the name of security to a threat that does not exist, we're creating an actual assault on our freedom to vote. Your right to vote will be based on the whims of someone who's sitting at the table across from you when you go to check in at your polling place. And then the convenience of your schedule to prove them wrong after Election Day.
So we're introducing these bills to improve the system that isn't vulnerable to begin with. This legislation is a solution in search of a problem, except the problem isn't clear and the solution is even murkier. And that would be pointless enough, but these bills create even more problems.
It unfairly targets low-income, elderly, disabled, and minority voters who may not always have access to a photo ID or may have trouble returning to a clerk within 10 days of Election Day should they not have an ID at the polls.
We're talking about disabled people. We're talking about homeless people who might have a hard time proving where they live. But just because they're poor, it doesn't mean they don't live here in Michigan. It doesn't mean that they're not part of our citizenry. It doesn't mean they shouldn't be counted in our democracy.
This bill is designed to suppress the votes of those for whom voting is already a struggle.
History did not cheer the passage of poll taxes. History did not cheer the passage of literacy tests. And I promise you, history will not cheer the passage of a bill that's designed to make it harder for Americans to vote.
They want to have the rights that they have worked so hard for in their birthright to be able to have their right to vote.
That's why I urge a no vote against this harmful, discriminatory bill.
I urge a no vote on this legislation.
I recommend that you don't support this bill.
No one should have to pay a lawyer to have the right to vote. No one should have to incur costs because voting is a fundamental right. It is essential to the legitimacy of our democracy, and you cannot erect financial barriers to our voting rights. Not only is it wrong, it's unconstitutional. It is a poll tax. Don't do it.
Know that there are those of us that will fight for you. To my transgender neighbors who are worried that someone won't think their ID looks enough like them, we will fight for you. To my rural neighbors who are frustrated that their clerks might not be open after election during a time when they can go back and show that ID and have their ballots counted, we will fight for you. And to the low-income and working folks who feel that this is just yet another time that the deck is stacked against you, we'll fight for you.